I'm not going to specifically talk about fintech. I'm going to talk more about, as a business, going through the kind of the growth curve and those sorts of elements, but at still a generally quite sort of high level. Okay, first things first, really crude. I'd like you all to take a look at this. And first of all, we know that I'm talking about growth, so I've kind of given the game away. But I'd like you to tell me which one is the odd one out on this picture. So we've obviously got Tetris, we've got Fat Cats, we've got balloons, and obviously the expansion of balloons, and Roadrunner and Coyote. Anyone got any ideas?
Tetris?
Okay.
I would say balloons.
Okay, interesting. This is really good. Anyone else? Okay, I would actually say it's the Roadrunner and Coyote.
Oh.
It can be very subjective, and I think it depends entirely on where you are in your business cycle. The idea of the Tetris is it's all about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It's different elements. The game Tetris obviously is constantly expanding, and you're constantly adding the blocks and re-blocking them and trying to fit them all together. So it's understanding what that big picture looks like, how they fit together, and then how you keep expanding that picture. Fat Cats, we all know about Fat Cats. They're the big corporations, they're the big PLCs. They've already had a rapidly expanding waistline, they've grown already, and they're pretty comfortable with where they are. They've gone through all of the pain. But they have a very successful business model already. Not to say they're not constantly reinventing, but they are already pretty well established. The balloon is very much about a smaller business or a one product or service business that is going to expand, but at some point it will pop. So totally take the point that some people might think that the balloon might be the odd one out because it can pop and then you're a bit good. So, and then the Coyote and the Roadrunner, the reason why I chose that was because they're constantly running out of somewhere to run. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what their vision is. They don't know what their strategy is. They probably need a new business model. They need to adapt and change. They need to be looking at their commercial plans, their roadmap to market. So it's really understanding where you're actually going. The other three all have a good sense of where they're going and what they're doing. We all are very familiar with these terms: startups, spin-offs, scale-ups, and small medium enterprises. I think what separates these different groups, because I'm not talking about corps here, or PLCs, is that it's really what separates them. It's how they operate and manage themselves, and the maturity around their operating processes and models. So we all know if you're in this end, you're very much a founder or a CEO, you are the jack of all trades, you're wearing all the different hats, you're juggling all the different things, you're having to go through a huge learning curve to understand all the different parts of the business model. To me, the further you go along this scale, it's much more about delegating experience and responsibility out to a team so that you can actually keep growing your business model. It's about becoming the strategist and evangelist for the business, so that you can take your idea for your business and create it and shape it and keep growing it. So you focus specifically on that. And the further you go along that, the more you have to play that role and step back from the day-to-day multiple hats. Different types of growth. What is growth? Something that has grown or is growing, the process of increasing in size. Very standard, we all know, right? We all assume. We obviously know about organic growth, that's business expansion, increased on customer base expansion, product development, and so forth. It's very much about your products and services as you grow. Inorganic is obviously about mergers and acquisitions. Many businesses just focus themselves on mergers and acquisitions. We're not talking about that particularly today. So it's more of what? When you're trying to grow, it's more of what? It's about the different types of approaches. So you've got your linear, which is obviously taking, well, you're looking at how you're reacting to your growth, and you're also looking at how you plan for your growth. It's an understanding of where the threshold is in both of these areas. It's what challenges and information you need to be able to get through each of those kind of scaling challenges. It seems obvious to say, but if you have uncontrolled growth, it absolutely kills your business dead. if you can't account for it, if you can't plan for it, if you can't scale for it, then it's as effective as no growth. So as we move into this, we've got the linear, we've got the modular, they kind of speak for themselves, and the inorganic. But when you're looking at how you grow, it's the difference between understanding what your growth plan is versus your business plan. If you've gone through investment cycles, you'll have had to do your business plan. It's got a lot of key functions and features of it around competitive research, audience, how you're going to raise your investment, what your projections are, why it's good for customers, why you're taking that to market. But this is much more in terms of growth plan. It's much more about targeting 1 to 2 years, or 12 to 18 months even, rather than the 3 to 5 year business plan. Your growth plan is much more immediate. It's about looking at all of those elements, the competitive research, aims, goals, target audiences, demographics, projections, strategy, but it's much more about your go-to-market strategy and how you keep on adapting and evolving that. It also probably seems obvious to say, but it's about that horribly overused word, agility and flexibility. But you have to keep on adapting to these things and keep on going back and pulse checking with your original aims and goals to make sure that you're keeping abreast of the marketplace. Effectively, if you look at it in terms of taking the overall customer experience into account, it allows you to look at the value proposition, and I think Troy's going to talk about value a little bit later, and look at how you're rolling out the quality of that product and the pricing within the marketplace. It's really understanding what you've got to focus on. These are just a couple of the things that you've got to ask questions around. The key ones in here, I would say, is understanding your people and your marketing strategy and your platforms. Now, if you're in a startup or a scale-up mode, you'll probably have good, new, fresh platforms and technologies. You're probably feeling pretty comfortable about that. But as you get your rounds of investment, it's also very much about understanding what questions you have to keep on asking to be able to go to that next level. So when you're planning, I know we all think about it. It's about your people, it's about the information in your marketplace, and it's also about timing. We get a big chunk of investment at different seed rounds, and it's then how do you allocate that investment? So understanding by constantly regathering your information, look at your gaps. Have you got gaps with your people? Have you got gaps with your teams and your skills? Motivation could be a problem. It could be around your skills check in terms of where you know you need to go next. As a CEO or as a founder, one of the common problems is that you do not want to delegate out tasks because you feel that actually it's much more efficient and effective to get that job done yourself. One of the most common problems for CEOs, and I've spoken to a number in the last few months, is that they typically find that when they're hiring and expanding their teams, they spend a lot of time doing it. Okay? It's really challenging. But being able to obviously find the right people, that's not just the main problem. It's also about understanding how you're going to hand off and train those people and still invest the time in them. It can seem like it's much quicker to do the task yourself, but it's false economy. It's just not going to help you. And being able to step back and actually hand off and delegate to those new team members and empower them and understand that it will take them a little bit of time to get as familiar with your brand and your products and services. You know, it will happen. We've all been through it in other businesses, I'm sure. Understanding how those challenges are going to hit you. It's another challenge that I've had from a couple of founders that I've spoken to recently is understanding how to trust and let go. It's about that comfort zone. They know that they haven't got all the skills themselves. They are used to wearing all of those hats, and they are feeling really pressured in terms of letting stuff go. I think the other thing about this, around the strategist and evangelist piece, is that you are the orchestrator in your business. You are helping empower your workforce. Your people are your best asset. You might have an amazing tool, you might have an amazing site, you might have amazing technology, but ultimately the people who are around you are the ones who are going to help take that to the marketplace. So really think about how you can seed and learn out to your staff and empower them. I'm pretty much there in terms of kind of a quick overview, and I really didn't want to overlabour too much. So I know that there's the other area around cash and investment. I'm not going to go into this particularly, but I think the main thing is that there's a lot of different types of funding as you keep going through your iterations and you start looking at how you're going to diversify, how you're going to build your modules, how you're going to add on, or are you just going to create a different version, scale and expand. So keep looking at these areas in terms of where you're getting your funding. I'm sure a number of you have gone through funding headaches, but a lot of people overlook banks and looking for funding with government grants. There are so many out there that most people don't even know. So do try and make use of those. I'm not going to talk any more about investment because that's not kind of really an area that I like to specialise on. But this was really just to give you a very, very quick taster in terms of this is the landscape that you're going to have to go through. It's about asking the questions. It's about keep on interrogating what you're doing and make sure that you can devolve that into your workforce so that they can feel as empowered as you are about your product.